Hello, it's Davey Mooney coming to you from the University of North Texas, where I run the jazz guitar program. Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist. Got Way Back, the latest record. I've got 2 Mel Bay books, Into the Labyrinth, and I'm out of copies of Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary, which is a good thing. Sometimes I sell them on concerts, gigs, clinics, things like that. So yeah, it's, late June here in Denton, Texas. I'm back from some early summer travels. I was in Colombia for a week. That was great. Played some gigs, met some great musicians, did some teaching. The altitude really kicked my butt, y'all. I'd heard about it, but man. And I was pretty good. I didn't go crazy or anything, but I was walking around a lot. And it's high up. What else? I was in New York recording a new Sunnyside record, sort of a sequel to Benign Strangers right here. So I got back together with Ko Umura, Glenn Zaleski, John Ellis, Matt Closey, Michael Perez Cisneros on the engineering. Did some tunes, 5 of my tunes, 5 of Ko's. It came out really good, y'all. I feel like I've maybe figured something out after so many years of doing these records. And one of them is, in terms of guitar sound, is just to kind of keep it simple. And this instrument sounds so good, just right into an amp without any, intermediary equipment. So it took me a few years to figure that one out. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Falling Grace. Steve Swallow's beautiful tune, first recorded in 1966 with Gary Burton. On a record called The Time Machine, which is kind of cool. I listened to some of it. Who's on drums? Larry Bunker, according to Wikipedia, who played with Bill Evans. And it's got a real Bill Evans sort of vibe, mid-60s Bill Evans trio, but of course with vibraphone, and I think he overdubbed some other instruments on there. But man, this tune came to me, I remember when I was studying here as an undergrad. I didn't really play this song in New Orleans, I don't think. And it's funny because to me it represents sort of like a gateway tune into the more, from sort of your jazz standards into the more ECM and kind of modern jazz sounding thing. And it was funny because I was just playing it and I realized most of the versions I was listening to are swing, but they're kind of broken swing in 2. They never get right down to walking. And yet when I was on the little app with my track, it was straight 8ths. And I was like, I think I'll just keep it. But sometimes when I mess with those tracks, it just makes it worse. But so I just kept the track with the straight 8ths vibe. But yeah, The Time Machine, it gets that broken swing feel that I guess is kind of modern sounding. Also, I remember when I was first an undergrad here, there was the Pat Metheny Jim Hall album that came out, duet album, and they played Falling Grace. Kind of a little up, I feel like the song kind of isn't as slow as I remember when I actually listened to versions of it. Maybe not as slow as I just recorded it with the track. But some other great versions, Chick Corea and Gary Burton, Crystal Silence from the early 70s, great ECM record. All the tunes on that record are in the real book. I love it, or most of them. And the original real book. What else? Scofield has that great recent album, Swallow. Is it Swallow Songs or Swallow Tunes? Swallow Tales, of course. That's a much better title than Swallow Tunes or Swallow Songs, or little pun there, a little double entendre, Swallow Tales. Anyway, that version is great because it's that great trio with Mr. Swallow himself, Scofield, and Bill Stewart. I love that band so much. The band from En Route, one of my favorite jazz guitar trio CDs, and that record is so great. Swallow Tales. Sorry for getting the title wrong. But anyway, just to talk about this song, it's got a very kind of circular feeling in terms of the form. You have depending on how you want to break the phrases up, definitely kind of a 14-bar section and a 10-bar section. So it adds up to 24 bars. But I think to me, the way it kind of feels, the layout is you have... sort of an 8-bar phrase followed followed maybe by a 6-bar phrase. Look at cheated with the melody. I haven't played this in a while. Like that to me is another phrase. So maybe 8 plus 6. I mean, you know, however you want to break it up. And then the next section. Diminished chord, you know, I don't associate diminished chords with, you know, sort of modern jazz tunes. So it's got that, it sort of bridges that modern jazz harmony with old school. So the second section, maybe it's, you know, I don't know, 4 bars and then 6 bars, something like that. I mean, to me, the phrase lengths themselves aren't, you don't have like a 7-bar phrase or a 5-bar phrase. You kind of have like 8 plus 6, maybe 4 plus 6, or 4 plus 4 plus 2, in the way it feels. But it has that circular feel, particularly because the last couple bars of the form, well, first you have a 2-5 to B flat, then to E flat, and then the song starts again on A flat. So you have this sort of cycle of fourths thing going back into the top. So you're like, is that the top or is that, you know, the end? So it's a really cool, almost like, kind of reminds me of Blue and Green a little bit, the Bill Evans tune. And the other thing is the, you know, the use of inversions. And the Chick Corea, I was listening to that original version. I don't know if they did all the inversions that they do on, but on Crystal Silence they definitely have like an A flat major 7. Then it's really, you know, D7 to G minor, but the D7's over F sharp. Then G minor. Then you have a 2-5 to E flat, D7, G minor. But when you get to E flat, it's like E flat over G, D7 over F sharp. I'm saying these right. And then G minor over F. And then like a C or a C7 over E. Maybe a C triad, but you know, I'd probably put a B flat in there if I were going to play a B because the next chord is F. So you have this cool inversions of like. And F major, so I'm calling that an 8-bar phrase, and then 6-bar phrase. F major. F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7, E minor. So real kind of, you know, functional harmony, almost like sort of Tin Pan Alley harmony, or in the way that maybe Bill Evans' songs, his own compositions, have a lot of that very functional harmony. F major 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7, E minor, then a 2-5 to G. And then the second section, like I said, the inversions are mostly done with, but those inversions at the beginning are really interesting, and Chick Corea keeps those going on Crystal Silence behind Gary Burton. I don't remember on the Metheny SCO one if they do that or not. You're a little. Again, you know, it's very live. I have some electronic issues today. I haven't been in here in a minute, but the electricity in this room is always kind of weird. Sometimes there's like buzzes going on. I have to deal with. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I didn't really listen too hard to the inversion thing going on Scofield's version or the Metheny Jim Hall. But most people, like, they'll observe the inversions on the head, maybe less so on the solos. So it doesn't really affect what you would play over the tune. But anyway, the second half of the song, you have C minor, C sharp diminished, kind of B flat over D to E flat. That also reminds me of like some Tom Joe Beam kind of harmony. And they do play Chega de Saudade on the Time Machine. Then you have E minor 7 flat 5, A7 D minor, D minor D flat 7, C minor F7, and that kind of reminds me of Blue and Green a little bit. And then B flat major, E flat. So yeah, kind of cool. The first chord definitely to me is like a Lydian. And you know, D7 to G minor could be harmonic minor if you want, or whatever. 2-5 to E flat. Quick D7 back to G minor, and maybe you have F in the bass, but it doesn't really affect what you would play. And then really it's a 2-5 to F. Goes right to F sharp minor 7 flat 5. 2-5 to E minor, quick 2/5 to G major. And the C sharp diminished is very much, it behaves like it's supposed to behave. I know I did a few videos ago of diminished chords, talking about how some of them behave and some of them don't. But yeah, C minor, C sharp diminished 5 of D minor. And yeah, it's B flat over D, but you know, same difference. E flat major 7, 2/5 to D7, D minor. And that little sequence, you have in a lot of songs like D minor, G7, tritone sub with that, which is D flat 7, C minor, F7, B flat, E flat major, to A flat major, and all major 7s. It's nice how one chorus leads so naturally into the next one without any kind of like turnaround, and maybe that's the modern. I mean, you know, you throw around words like modern doesn't really mean that much, but you know, in the context, we know what we're saying when we say modern jazz. You know, definitely get that broken two feel, and at the very end, he kind of plays on that a little bit because the end melody goes. Actually ends on a D flat major 7. So he goes the last few chords, B flat major 7, E flat major 7, A flat major 7, D flat major 7. And yeah, like I said, it's very much like I feel like it's a real guitar tune. A lot of guitar players want to play this, which is interesting because those early versions are all like piano and vibraphone. I think Bill Evans recorded this too at some point. I haven't checked that version out. But yeah, recently that Scofield version on Swallowtails is really great. So I'll play a few choruses on it, and yeah, hope you dig it. Fall in Grace,
Thank you.